Welcome to the Enriching Book Club, where we take the greatest ideas ever written and bring them to life for the modern mind. Which timeless masterpiece are we unlocking today? Let's find out.
Hey everyone, and welcome. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here for today's Explainer, where we're going to unpack a brilliant and truly heartwarming international bestseller. We're looking at Graeme Simsion's 2013 novel, The Rosie Project. But listen, we aren't just going to summarize a story today. Nope. We are going to apply a rigorous, almost scientific method to break down its core themes of psychology, social observation, and human connection. It's an incredibly fun ride, so get ready to look at romance through a highly analytical lens. Can an algorithm find true love? It's a fascinating question, right? I mean, in an age where we use data to optimize literally everything, our diets, our sleep, our finances, our daily commutes, shouldn't we be able to mathematically calculate the perfect romantic match? Okay, let's dive into this premise of finding a partner through optimized data, because that is the exact hypothesis our protagonist sets out to prove. Now, to do justice to a highly organized genetics professor, we must, of course, approach this explainer with the utmost efficiency and logic. So here is our perfectly structured agenda. First, engineering the perfect partner. Then, 2, the chaos of Rosie. 3, the father project mystery. 4, logic versus emotion. 5, celebrating neurodiversity. And finally, 6, love as transformation. Let's start with section 1, engineering the perfect partner. Let me introduce you to Don Tillman. He's a 39-year-old genetics professor living in Melbourne, and Don is exceptionally intelligent, entirely routine-bound, and deeply, deeply committed to efficiency. For Don, life is essentially just a series of solvable problems. So, feeling that it's logically time to find a wife, he sets out to solve his single status the only way he knows how. Enter the Wife Project. This isn't just a casual checklist. It's a scientifically optimized, incredibly extensive questionnaire designed by Don to ruthlessly eliminate unsuitable candidates. Don's central hypothesis here is fascinating, honestly. He truly believes that love can be engineered. By relying on pure data, he thinks he can just bypass the messy, unpredictable nature of human connection and pinpoint the statistically perfect life partner. To even qualify for a first date with Don, a candidate must demonstrate impeccable punctuality, abstain completely from smoking, possess specific educational backgrounds, meet optimal health metrics, and adhere to strict lifestyle routines. It is a rigorous filter meant to establish absolute predictability. He wants an equation where the outcome is guaranteed. But, well, as any scientist will tell you, experiments rarely go exactly as planned. Section 2, the chaos of Rosie. Let's move to and see how this builds as we introduce the anomalous variable that completely disrupts Don's experiment. Because every controlled experiment eventually encounters an anomaly that just wrecks the dataset. And that variable is Rosie Jarman. On one side, we have Don, logical, highly organized, and seeking total predictability. On the exact opposite side, we have Rosie, spontaneous, deeply emotional, delightfully unconventional, and living a life that Don can only describe as pure chaos. Rosie immediately fails practically every single metric on Don's questionnaire. She smokes, she's frequently late, and she operates entirely on feeling rather than logic. Theoretically, she is the worst possible candidate for the Wife Project. Moving right along to Section 3, the Father Project mystery. So, Rosie doesn't actually want to date Don. She actually seeks out his genetic expertise to solve a deeply personal mystery, identifying her biological father. Don enthusiastically accepts this challenge, totally pivoting from the Wife Project to what he cleverly dubs the Father Project. And this brilliantly illustrates the dual meaning of the novel's plot. On a literal level, it's a fun, fast-paced caper about gathering DNA samples, secretly swabbing glasses at cocktail parties, and forcing these two wildly different people to spend time together. But on a symbolic level, it represents a much deeper human desire. While Don is trying to solve Rosie's biological mysteries scientifically, he's inadvertently confronting his own deeper questions about identity, belonging, and what it actually means to connect with another human being. Section 4, logic versus emotion. As they spend more time together, we hit the central thematic conflict of the story. Don views life as an optimization problem, while Rosie embraces uncertainty and emotional complexity. Through Don's first-person narration, we get to see the world from a highly literal, outsider perspective. To Don, small talk is inefficient. Think about that for a second. Why do we discuss the weather with strangers? Why are dating rituals so arbitrary? Why is social etiquette often so completely inconsistent? The humor in the story comes directly from this observation. By viewing neurotypical social conventions through Don's analytical eyes, we're kind of forced to question the absurd, unwritten rules of society that we normally just accept without a second thought.
Section 5. Celebrating Neurodiversity.
While the novel never explicitly gives him a diagnosis, Don exhibits traits often associated with the autism spectrum, particularly Asperger-like traits. He struggles with interpreting social cues and understanding complex emotions, but the story positions this not as a flaw, but as the making of a wonderfully unconventional romantic hero. He is unwaveringly honest, he's deeply loyal, he has a genuine, burning desire to understand others, and he continuously strives for self-improvement. The narrative isn't about fixing Don or making him normal. It's really about a man learning to navigate a confusing world while retaining his own unique brilliance. So the crucial point is perfectly captured in this idea. Personal fulfillment does not require abandoning one's identity. The story beautifully celebrates neurodiversity. It argues that Don's unique perspective isn't a barrier to love, but rather a profound strength. He learns new social skills, sure, and he develops greater emotional awareness, but he never stops being fundamentally, unapologetically Don.
Finally, Section 6. Love as Transformation.
This leads us right to the emotional payoff of our experiment. What happens when the immovable object of logic meets the unstoppable force of emotion? Well, the result is a mutual transformation, mapped out beautifully in these 4 steps. First, Don and Rosie have to acknowledge their profound differences. Second, they must embrace life's unpredictability, which is a huge leap for Don. Third, they actively choose to willingly understand each other's distinct perspectives. And finally, they grow and adapt together. Rosie becomes more reflective and self-aware, while Don becomes significantly more emotionally open and flexible.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how this completely shatters Don's original hypothesis. He started the Wife Project believing that compatibility could be objectively measured through a checklist. But despite failing literally every single item on a survey, Rosie becomes the most important person in his life. The takeaway here is profound. Compatibility is not merely similarity. It's the shared willingness to grow, to adapt, and to bridge the gap between differences. Love requires vulnerability, not algorithms. It's a messy, unpredictable process that simply cannot be optimized on a spreadsheet.
So as we wrap up our analysis today, I want to leave you with this question to ponder. Is your own internal ideal partner checklist, whether it's conscious or subconscious, holding you back from a truly transformative connection? Are you relying a little too much on logic and missing out on the beautiful chaos of human unpredictability? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.